Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's well. In this one, I'm gonna be taking a little break from the female topics for a minute here, and just want to talk about something else. I'm gonna share a story with you guys about something that happened some years ago. I hope it'll kind of just motivate someone to just believe in themselves, right? Because the red pill isn't just about females and female nature. That's a part of it, understanding, but also just adopting a different mindset in life in general, and you kind of just taking charge of your situation, whatever situation that is, whether that involves a female or not, right? And I'm gonna share this story because it's a good example of me being in a situation and not, just not controlling the situation like I could have, right? So, a little bit of backstory, right? I know I've said this on the channel before a couple times, but I am a nurse, so I work in the healthcare field, right? So I'm just gonna, for those of you who, probably most of you who aren't in that line of work, I'm just gonna explain a little bit so you can understand and get the full picture, right? So I'm a nurse, right? And in the hospital setting, which I work in the hospital setting, we have different levels of care based on patient's acuity, how sick they are, right? You've probably heard these terms, but you've got units like the med surge, med tele units, and you go up a little higher in acuity. You've got units like PCU units, and you go up even higher. You've got critical care units, intensive care units like ICU. I'm sure you've heard the term ICU. That's where the most critical people are. That's where essentially the patients are closer to death, basically, right? Now, you need, obviously a little bit more specialized training to be in an ICU setting because the patients are more critical, correct? So, keep that in mind. Now, one thing to also keep in mind is that I'm not saying, and I hate this because this is a thing in nursing, right? Different specialties kind of discredit each other, right? Being in ICU doesn't make you a quote unquote better nurse or means you work harder. Because the thing you have to keep in mind is the less acute your patients are, the more of them you have. So if you're on a med surge floor, yes, the patients aren't like close to dying per se. They're still sick. Some of them are still very, very sick. Keep that in mind. But they're not like close to death per se, right? Not circling the drain. You got to try to keep them alive. But what that means is you have more of those patients. Maybe you have like 5 or 6 patients, as opposed to the ICU, you've got 2 of them, right? So that's how that works. So just a little bit of a backstory, but you can't disregard one or the other. We can't say, oh, well, the ICU is easier because you only got 2 patients. Well, no, they're more critical. But med surg isn't easier because they're less critical because you've got more patients. It's not easy to juggle 6 different patients, right? Or more in some states where the ratios are worse. So anyway, enough about that, but that's the way the hospital setting works. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, for me personally, when I first started my career, I've been a nurse for almost 4 years now. When I first started, I was on a PCU unit. So that's kind of like right in the middle of the road, right? Not as critical patients as the ICU, but more critical than like a med surge unit. So I was right in the middle there, right? So I've been on that unit. That's where I started my career. And my unit was actually split. It was half PCU, half ICU, right? So anyway, without going into terrible detail, After I had been where I was for a while, I wanted to kind of make the switch, get the proper training, and transfer to the ICU. Just to you know increase my knowledge. Excuse me. And get my skills up and whatnot. Okay, so I approached my the manager about this, right? Because that's something people have done. Well, they do it all the time, but specifically on my floor, the floor is split, so it's easy to just hop over. There's not a whole lot of transfer stuff you got to do and all that. It makes the transition a little bit easier. So I approached my manager about this, and keep in mind for this story, I've had two different managers. The This first one, I approached her about it, right? She gave me a hard time about it, right? Asking me stuff like, oh, well, are you ready? And this or that, essentially insinuating that she didn't think I was ready, right? It's like, well, me personally, I'm not gonna do a job I don't feel I'm capable of doing. That's just not something I'm gonna do. Some people have that fake it till you make it mindset. I don't have that. I want to be able to do a competent job, right? So the reason I approached her about it was because, I felt that I was perfectly capable of doing that. But, she gave me a hard time about it. So at that point, right? I left it alone, right? She said, maybe I should get some more time, get a little bit more time under my belt, which was fine. I think I had maybe been a nurse for a year at that point. Now, some people, transition that quickly. Some do it sooner, some after. It just depends. But I know, deep down that I was capable of doing it. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing to keep in mind about me personally, right? Is I'm a reserved person. I'm a quiet individual, personally. I don't talk a lot. So when I'm at work, I go to work, right? I'm not involved in a lot of gossip or, talking with a lot of the coworkers, obviously I talk to my coworkers, but I'm not gossipy or cliquey. And that, in these type of situations, that works to my disadvantage, because if you're the type that talks more, is more cliquey, and then you get in with the manager, they're gonna be more inclined to let that person advance or push that person forward than someone like me who isn't like that, right? Unfortunately, but it is what it is. But anyway, I fell back, right? I gave it some time. Eventually this manager ended up leaving, right? Got a new one. Maybe this was probably like 2 years into my career now, maybe a bit over that. And I was kind of getting fed up where I was, because at a certain point, I wasn't really growing, right? I wasn't really learning much new stuff. I was kind of just existing in my job, right? So I approached this new manager about this, right? And met with the same result, right? The first thing is, I had to approach her about it, but yet she would be intentional about seeking out other people and offering them opportunities. But the people she would seek out and offer those opportunities to, again, they're more talkative. They're in their little cliques. They're more quote unquote popular, right, than I am. Like you want to think that the whole like popularity thing and clicky thing goes away after like high school. But nah, man, that's in the workplace too, right? So anyway, again, she was like, I don't know, again, as if I'm not ready when I know I'm just as smart or smarter than some of the people, you know, back there already in the other unit, right? Now, I know this, right? But, you know, she's still gonna, like deny me the opportunity for right now. She at least went further and was like, well, okay, we'll prep you, right? We'll prepare you, I'll train you, try to get you ready. Long story short, that nothing became of that, right? That was all hot air, essentially, right? So where am I going with this? What's the whole point, right? The point is, I was in a situation where I really wasn't gonna be growing, right? And I was being blocked from pursuing what I wanted to pursue. The whole point of me making this video is to say that, I mean, I believed in myself and I know that I could do the job, but I didn't apply that. I didn't advocate for myself, right? They were like, I don't know about that. And I was just like, okay, didn't do anything else about it. When in reality, what I should have done from the get-go, the first time with the first go round, the first manager, when she denied me that, and I know that I'm more than capable, I should have put in my 2 weeks and gone somewhere else, gone to another unit, gone to an ICU. Right, that's what I should have done, especially the second time with even another year of experience under my belt. I know that, that's what I should have done. But I didn't take charge of the situation, and that's the thing. That's what I've got to get better at. Now, eventually, I left where I was because, like I said, I was fed up. I wasn't growing. I wasn't progressing. I was just, to this day, this is another a year and a half after I left. Like, I can guarantee I'd still be in that situation, not progressing, just there, just existing, right? But eventually I got out, found a new job, much better paying job, and I'll be doing that until I eventually am able to move forward with my music and eventually, get out of that field altogether. But, that's another story. But, man, what I want to stress to you guys is, one, just believe in yourself. If you are capable of doing something, don't let anyone else hold you back, especially not because of, not because you're not in the in crowd, right? That's the situation I ran into. His manager would literally approach other people she would approach people who had less experience than I did, who'd have been there a shorter time than I had, right? And ask them, if they wanted to do this or that or move on to the other unit, And when I even approached her myself, right, I get shut down, because I'm not vocal per se. That's that's the funny thing. Because I'm not, vocal and loud per se, like some of the other people there, like they perceive that as, like, for some reason they seem to perceive it as a lack of ability, which is, completely asinine, but you know, it is what it is. I'm just calling it like I see it, man. You know, that is what it is. But moral of the story, guys, you know, believe in yourself. You know, you have control of your own destiny, right? Don't let anyone else dictate your future, right? Like I said, what I should have done is took action the first time and moved on, right? So, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020. I did find myself a better job, so I'm not mad at that. But you got to learn how to take control of situations, and you know, if you're being blockaded and prevented from reaching your goals, move on. You know, go somewhere else where you can achieve those goals. You know, don't let people hold you back, you know, because of their own biases. So that's all I got to say for this one, man. Believe in yourself. You know, you control your own destiny. Don't let anybody else control it, you know, and take charge in situations like that, you know. So that's all I got to say. If this, you know, motivated you at all, or if you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.